Hi everyone. Thanks a lot for visiting the Virtual Propane Expo. Really, it's a online virtual expo with more exhibitors than any other propane traditional trade show in the world, more visitors than any trade show in the world, and it's growing. And unfortunately, due to the times that we're in, we kind of need to revert to these virtual things. And so, thanks a lot for being here. I hope this will serve you well. Today, we're going to be getting into multiple presenters. And just really quick, we do obviously have an October and November Expo, and this is going to continue monthly. Really, the whole Expo is really put on by our sponsors. So thank you to all the sponsors. So if you're on the homepage, you scroll down just a little bit. Here are the sponsors. You can click right on their logo. It takes you right to their Expo booth. And it's based on, because of these sponsors, we're able to bring this to you. There's a lot of work that goes into these online expos, and a lot of technology work, etc. So these are the many of the exhibitors that are here today, and you can scroll right through this, and really the idea is to be able to learn, to engage and transact with the vendors you would normally see at trade shows without having to leave your office. Clearly, it's not like we could leave our offices to go to these right now. Anyway, so this is the next best thing. Maybe not quite as good as the in-person, but it's the next best thing. Although we've been hearing comments, Warren, you as well, we've been hearing a lot of comments from propane marketers saying that this is great. It saves them money, saves them time, and they can interact and learn easier this way than maybe the other way. I know that you heard some stories about that. I'll ask you in a minute. So for everyone that's here, I just want to point out one other thing. There's a new addition to the Expo is training courses. So if you are interested in training up your employees and you can't get to some of the normal safety training, the required training where you need to do across our country and even in Canada, there's required training we have to do for our technicians, for our drivers, etc. And there are some of the leading trainers in our entire national and international North American industry are providing training courses right here. You can click, you can sign up, you can do your training live with a real person, live online from anywhere, and get your training requirements knocked out. Even online testing, and even them actually verifying you understand things from a vehicle perspective. It's fabulous. It's less expensive than the alternative, the older traditional way. Click right here and you go right into the training. You'll see more and more courses popping up there to allow us as an industry to progress and to be able to get more done with lower costs and reduce the amount of time and expense it takes to do all the training we've got to do in our industry. So hey, without further ado, today in the presenter area, you'll notice that we have, let me go back to the presenters, our current presenters today. Earlier we had Blasting Gas and Alliance Auto Gas, former president of the MPGA, Stuart Weed. I was explaining what's going on from that perspective. His comment was that these virtual expos and virtual presentations are really allowing us to progress faster into a world where we can get more done easier through these online venues. So along the whole technology perspective, we're really blessed to have Warren Van Wyck from Propane Management Systems be here with us today and explain kind of really from his perspective, from an insider's perspective, what's going on in the propane industry from a technology perspective. So Warren's background is perfect for this talk because he not only ran propane offices and propane delivery businesses for around a decade, then he came into the whole software side and has been running the propane management systems, PMS, and that's the technology we use and we need in our propane industry to really run our businesses efficiently. So having done that, he's helped over 100 propane companies with their technology. And so he's essentially been in their offices or virtually been in their offices. His team has been in their offices, seeing the problems and issues that they're up against, and providing the technology answers to a lot of the problems that we have in our industry, or the things we need to have built to make our whole businesses more efficient. He's seen it, he's done it, and worked on it probably in over 200 facilities or 200 offices, about over 100 companies, and that provides a real lot of insight into in multiple different areas in our country how to answer the problems and challenges we have or don't even realize we have, and how to solve those with technology or make us more efficient with technology. That being said, he has an insider's perspective of what's out there in the future, what's out there this year, what did the COVID change for us, and so that's really going to help explain where we are now, where we're going in the future, what's going to be happening, and how we can really leverage technology to improve our businesses. So Warren, thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate
I
your
appreciate being here.
yeah, it's great. So Warren, if you would just take just a really quick, tell us a little bit more that I missed about your background and about the company that you're running with right now, and how that background is going to help explain what's happening with technology in our industry right now, if you could. Thanks.
All right. My career in the propane industry started in 1997 at Ferrellgas. I was hired as a district manager and ended up being the district manager over 5 of their locations. And I got to learn everything that was very important for the office personnel, what they needed to use, and also as a driver. I've set many tanks, hundreds of tanks. I've delivered millions of gallons, and it gave me a very good overall perspective of what is needed by the person sitting in front of the computer and the person sitting in the driver's seat. And I started at Ferrellgas. I then spent some years at United Propane Gas, and then I had the opportunity to join Propane Management Systems as their general manager. And we had a product called SSI that we still actually have a couple of customers using, but we immediately started developing a new product, and we developed it with the purpose of, well, if I'm a driver, what do I need? And we cut away a lot of the fluff that drivers didn't need, that were not important to them, and we made it exceptionally user-friendly. We did the same thing with the office side, where we know what the office personnel needs, what are, to get their job done, how to do their data entry, everything. And we took that perspective. I know you guys can't see my conference room, but when we opened this building 10 years ago, I went to Lowe's and bought dry erase paneling and paneled my entire conference room. And every single screen you see on any one of our programs was literally drawn on the wall and then massaged to make it work. And that's my background for getting to where I'm at now. Some of the companies love the fact that I have 14 years experience on their side, because I can help them, especially new companies, some advice. Let's just put it that way. All right.
Yeah, that's great. That insider perspective. From the propane marketer's perspective, there's sometimes a fear of technology, right? Because they're busy with so
Absolutely.
many things. They have to get tanks, they have to get gas, they're dealing with customers. There's always more to do with customers. There's always, phone calls or, just berating us. There's phone calls coming in, there's challenges, plus there's, setting tanks and installing. So if it's okay, tell us, if you could, about how many states have you and your team worked in, just to give a perspective to people. So, because sometimes propane marketers, rightfully so, will say, hey, I'm over here in this mountainous area. It's different than the coastal areas, different than from the northeast to the southeast, to this, to the southwest, to the northwest, and in the middle of the country. There's differences between these areas. There really are.
There's absolutely
So,
differences between the areas. And for us, we're in 45 states, including
wow.
Alaska. We actually have customers in Alaska. We do
Wow.
not have one in Hawaii, although I would like that. I wouldn't mind going out there and visiting them.
I'll
But
definitely
yes,
help you on that one.
we cover the United States.
Okay, great. So that gives you experience from all the different perspectives, and I think that's critical. When you just also for the sake of everyone on the call, do you actually send people on site to some locations all the time, part of the time? When do you send people on site? And the reason I ask that is the more we are on site with fuel companies, the more we understand the intrinsic differences between these locations. We can talk to the people there and learn the difference in degree days, the differences in usage seasons, etc. Do you send people on site to some of these installations, or what does it look like?
We absolutely do that. Our goal is in the initial part, when people are pursuing and trying to decide which software company to use, I always offer to go to their building in person and show them and whoever else wants to see it actually, put their hands on our product, go through the demonstration live in person. They can look me in the eye. We can ask questions, but it also allows me to see their setup and to see what they actually need, because there is no cookie cutter program that says, hey, this fits everybody. Every company is a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah, okay, true enough. So, based on what you've seen, your history in the industry, what trends are you seeing out there this year, and what do you see progressing into next year?
Well, some of the trends, this trade show is a perfect example of one of the trends. I have 4 adult children, and all of them say the same thing to me: is they don't understand why we go to trade shows. They say anything I want to know about a customer or a company, I can find out in 5 minutes on the internet. Now, I'm of the generation where I like to look people in the eye, shake their hands, and move on from there. But the new generation would much prefer to not waste a day of travel both directions, and then walking around a trade show. When they get done, they realize, wow, that just cost me a couple grand, at least a couple grand, and I could have done everything on the internet in 30 minutes. So I see the trend moving that you have to be able to do everything online, because there's too many people out there. As the new people move in, the parents are retiring, their children are taking over their businesses. They don't want to do the travel like my generation.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've heard something similar to that, my parents, you're my parents' generation, it was sometimes there's handshake deals, right? Or, those they would do it on a handshake. Then now it's like you have to have paper, and you have to have paper, it has to be signed on paper, it has to be documented. That's a change from handshake, human interaction, to paper. And tell me, have you heard from any propane marketers that have affirmed for you what you just said, like said, hey, yeah, I went to the virtual propane expo, now it saved me X number of dollars, I saw you on it, et cetera. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, we had a very good year with picking up new customers this year, and not one of them saw us at a trade show. Every one of them either attended one of these virtual trade shows, or they Googled us and found out information. We went through the demo process and all that, but not one of them was from an in-person trade show.
Wow. And it was a similar amount of business that you've done in previous years?
Yes, yes. We grew just as much this year as we had grown in any previous year.
Wow. Okay.
So I have mixed feelings going forward about trade shows and, in-person trade shows, virtual trade shows. Have to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you look at these companies that you're talking with these new customers, are you seeing a change in the age group, the generational age groups that are now upgrading to technology? What are you seeing there?
What I'm seeing from the younger people that are coming on board with us is they're very, very open to picking up the phone, calling me and saying, hey, how about doing this? And
Mhm.
offering suggestions. And they understand that we can't handle every suggestion. Like one person said, hey, I'm left-handed. Can you flip the screen? And that, no, I can't do that. Uh, but there was a lot of good suggestions that we've had. We've had, like, one that we just released is the moment you make a delivery to the customer, as long as you have their email address, it not only posts it to their account in real time, it also immediately sends them an email with an actual copy of the delivery ticket. And that was a suggestion by one of our customers. We have many suggestions like that, and I encourage our customers to pick up the phone and call us with their
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah, that's great. Okay, so do you see much transition from maybe an older generation owning and running the fuel companies and transitioning over to their children? What's going on
We recently picked up a new customer who the gentleman that I'd been dealing with there while we're picking them up is about one of my kids' age. Okay. And I asked him about the data conversion. What kind of software do they use now? And he laughed. He said, ledger cards. and his parents never progressed past ledger cards. And so now he's having to go through that. And that's probably the most extreme example I have of that. The other stuff I'm starting to see is people are seeing how technology can really help them. An example, one of my customers called me back in August and said, I would like a mailing list of all the people that bought gas in the winter of 2018, 2019, and did not buy gas in the winter of 2019, 2020. And that took us about 5 minutes to create that query and get it to him. And so he sent out enticing postcards to all those customers, trying to get them back. So that's some of the stuff people are realizing that they can do with technology that you can't do without technology. Another one would be on routing. For example, we have real-time routing where you will always see where the trucks are. You'll check mark every delivery as it's done. Well, one of my customers, the year before they joined us, they had a driver who was never had a Saturday off all winter and generally was not home till about 8 or 9 o'clock every night. And he's paid commission. So he wants to haul the gas. Well, when we introduced our routing to them, they had never had a routing system. He said he would give it a try. He only worked on Saturdays when he had an emergency call out. He said that was only a couple, and he was home by 6 every night and hauled about 70,000 more gallons that year. So he actually made more money and worked significantly less hours. And he absolutely loves it. And that's pretty much a common story we have with the drivers out in the field that we work with.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things you just said right there. I want to touch on a couple. I want to try to, number one, there's a younger generation that's coming up. They're calling, they're asking for ways to reach inside of a database, grab information, and utilize it that they never were able to do before because they either didn't know how to do this, didn't think of doing it, or they didn't have the tools to do it, right?
Or in some cases, they were scared to call and ask, thinking it might cost them to call, and it doesn't.
Yeah, so this is huge because if you're a propane marketer and you're listening to this is what I would suggest might be a takeaway. There's a new crop, there's a new generation of propane company owners that are going to use technology to make their business much more competitive with yours. So an example is now they're going to have the list. Within 5 minutes, they can have a list of all the people that didn't buy from them in the last year. Those could be customer-owned tanks that you think you're delivering to. Now those people are getting marketed by two. People are contacting them, marketing to them, trying to pull them from getting fuel from you. Now go back to the original propane vendor. There's going to be, I think, more of that. When you say Warren, there's going to be more and more people leveraging this. It's a database. It's a database. It's a list that they can use to market faster, smarter, easier, and more affordably. Right? It's a lot less expensive to send out postcards or mailers to just 5,000 people than it is to all the zip codes in the entire county, right? So it's more efficient for them. They're able to market directly to them, and they're able to send a message to them that's more targeted, like, you haven't gotten gas from us in a year. We want you back. So be aware that you could be up against tougher competition now and moving forward. That's just one example, right? You could be up against tougher competition now and moving forward than you've ever been up against before. The second thing you said is that through using this routing tool that you implemented for them, this guy, go ahead and approximate how many hours was he normally working, including Saturdays. If it was 10-hour days, 5 days a week, that's 50 plus Saturday, maybe that's 60 hours. So how many hours was he working before?
He said he was easily working 60, 70.
67 hours a week.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I know he said he was working about 70 hours a week before.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then the new paradigm for him was, sounds like it was more like an 8-hour day or 9-hour day instead of a 10 or 12-hour day. And he didn't have to work Saturdays hardly at all. So that would be, he went from, let's say, 70 hours down to 45 or 50. What do you think?
Oh, he even said he probably cut at least a third of his time off at least. And he hauled more gas. Yeah, that shows you how technology can work with you, not against you. And sometimes that's really great when people are open to that, because sometimes older My generation says, my driver's been here 30 years. He knows every place he needs to go. He probably does, but he may not be as efficient as Google.
Yeah. Leveraging the computer brain for the way it's built, it really makes sense. And so it can reduce, so everyone's on here, if you aren't using a route optimization, a schedule optimization, a delivery optimization tool, you could be losing 30% of your 30% of your money in related to delivery costs from a payroll and a drive time, probably miles driven to a perspective, even though you might have drivers that are experts. Right? That's what you're saying.
I agree. Yes.
Okay, so the future of propane is going to be your competition is going to be using databases to leverage marketing. They're also going to be using technology tools to optimize the routing and reduce miles driven, fuel costs, maintenance costs, and payroll time by potentially 30%, maybe more in some cases, maybe less in others. But 30% reduction in costs, which means they're going to reduce their price of propane, which means you're going to be fighting up an uphill battle unless you're using similar technology. Warren, what else do you see these days that's different than last year? What do you see this year that's different than last year?
The people wanted to travel and couldn't. And that was a big thing. I got an awful lot of calls for talking about that. But we really couldn't. We had too many restrictions because of COVID.
Yeah.
We are slowly now traveling. We have started going to customers. We like to do the installs in person. That's our preference, because that way, if they have any questions, we're right there for them, showing our support.
Yeah.
I think that, what people keep asking is, how can I be more efficient? That's a common question I get. Show me how your system makes me more efficient. And that's one of the things that everybody, when they consider everything they do, it should always be for efficiency.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of propane companies, and they have been in a mindset of, this driver has this geographic area. I just let him manage himself and manage his deliveries. He knows his customers. He knows when they need it. This driver over here, and they kind of have quadrants or something set up, and they just hand it all over to the drivers. And I think what you're saying is that you're seeing more and more customers saying, hey, you tell me, how can I make this more efficient? And that's a change, because some companies have said in the past, we already got it covered. We don't need any assistance. We have our quadrant system, and the drivers manage themselves. And you've run into that too, right, Warren?
Absolutely. Yes. Very common phrase we hear from customers.
Yeah. And do you see that changing some, where people that might have in the past said that now are saying, hey, how would you recommend, right?
I think the reason I say it is changing is because the propane marketers, they talk to other propane marketers, and they talk to other ones. And the companies that are utilizing technology are becoming more cost efficient in so many ways. And that shows. The prices reflect it. And it also allows them to take on more customers than they thought they were capable of. I know way too many customers that say, hey, I've got this number of trucks. If I gain more customers, I'm going to have to buy more trucks. And that's not necessarily true. You just have to be more efficient at delivering them. And one of the things on efficiency, tank monitors. A lot of people have started get into tank monitors. What we've done that's a little bit different is most tank monitor companies have their own website. You go to there, it tells you what the readings are and all that, and that's fine. We bring that information into our program right on the scheduling page. And that way you can see and you can schedule and route from the actual tank monitor reading. You don't have to go to another website to get it. So even something as simple as that makes you much more efficient at creating your routes.
Okay, so that is important. How many tank monitor companies do you connect in with like that at this point?
Just a few of them right now. What we do is we do it by request. When people called us, wanted to deal with, company X, we dealt with them. The next one, we dealt with them. So as soon as that, like if you were to call me and say, hey, I'm going to buy this many monitors from company Z, well, we'll be on the phone with them, and it takes us about a day, day and a half to make that work. So it's not
Oh,
a hard.
cool. Okay. So if you, Warren, if you were running a propane company today, knowing what you know, tell us how you would outfit your company technology wise. What tools would you use? Maybe not the names of the companies, but what tools would you use and why? Because you've seen them make a market improvement in other companies.
Well, I would definitely embrace the technology. Okay. And not only embrace it, too many people, and you probably have too over the years, people buy software, whatever kind it is, and they only use a small fraction of it. Okay. And Excel's a good example of that. Most people can't do a whole lot in Excel, and Excel's amazing for how much it can do. Well, our software companies in our industry, including your company, have a lot to offer. And it's really good when people embrace it and use the entire thing and realize how much it can help them. So I personally would find the software that fits my needs. Okay. I would know what my needs are. I would find the software. I would ask about the obvious questions about the service and the costs and all that stuff. But I would want to have the technology in the office. I'd want to have the technology in the trucks. I'd want to have the technology online for the customer to pay their bill online, items like that. I still have a lot of customers that don't have websites, and they're missing the ability for the customer to pay online. Like when in our system, we give your company a pay now button online, customer goes and makes the payment, and not only processes the credit card, it also posts it to their account in the same step.
Mm.
So we make it more efficient for the office there. When they scan a check or a credit card, we actually not only send it to the credit card processor, the gateway, we also post it in the same step and apply the credits all in one step. So I look for stuff like that that can make the office personnel more efficient, because that's going to save time, if everything's done in one step like that. I look on the truck tablets when they go real time on there. The moment they make a delivery, it's posted to the customer's account, and the customer's notified of that delivery. Now, we all know, as a propane marketer, you get phone calls from people saying, when are you going to deliver my gas? Well, we delivered it this morning. But you still had to handle that phone call. And so it can save you time in the office. So I would absolutely be embracing technology. And every company's different. So you need to look what works for you, what your needs are. And that's what's important. And to me, there's a lot of good choices out there for tank monitors and other companies, and companies like yours. There's just ways you can really make your business run smooth.
Yeah, I was talking to a fuel delivery company. This is an interesting scenario where there's a fuel delivery company. I'm going to say it's on the easternmost part of the United States, but the owner lives on the furthest westernmost part of the United States. And because he's automated everything, he's able to live complete. I mean, his company is as far east as you can go, and he lives as far west as you can go. But he's automated everything so that it's easier to do something like that. So I think things like that are becoming more possible, and really it's shocking what some of these fuel companies are doing when they start embracing technology, right?
That's absolutely correct. I have more than one owner that doesn't live in the state that his company's in. I have quite a few owners like that. And you're right, they're able to do that because of technology.
Yeah, so a lot now that might be mind blowing for some of the people that are on our show right now and on this, but that's reality. There are fuel delivery company owners, and they still manage the business, but they don't have nearly as much work, and they don't even have to live in the same state. That's remarkable, especially for those that want to move south, right? You can do it, right? Yeah, it's possible. It's crazy, but it's possible. Okay, so when you put your future glasses on, right? What do you envision the future fuel delivery companies' technology arrangement looking like? What is it going to do? And not too distant future, just like, in the next few years. What do you see fuel delivery companies looking like from an automation and technology perspective?
Some of the stuff can be like receiving payments. Like I told you earlier that we have this now, the moment you make a delivery, the customer receives an email on it. Well, if they are set up as a recurring payment, the payment can be made instantly at the same time and the customer receive another email on that. We are about to release that part of it. So even then you're saving your billing time, you're saving statements, you're saving efficiencies. Everything is better. Your AR should improve drastically with that. So I can see that. I like to give people the choices of right now our system is a server based, and we will be releasing in the spring a web based version of our software to give people whatever works best for them. So that's the two things that are happening very quickly with respect to us.
Okay, yeah, good. And as far as tank monitors, how do you see them fitting into the whole mix of things in the future?
Well,
What are your thoughts?
I see different opinions from my customers. I have some customers that say, I only want to put them on commercial accounts because I don't want a commercial account to run out. Okay. And commercial accounts generally go through a lot of gas, so the cost of the tank monitor is nothing. But I see other people saying, no, I'm going to put them on people that are farther away, ones that we don't go to but once or twice a year, because I don't want them to run out of gas and us have to pay for stuff. So we people doing that. And then I have other companies that their focus is to get them on every tank. And they have literally bought thousands of them, and they use our routing package that works with those tank monitors, and they're absolutely loving it. They're saying that they're delivering more gas with actually less drivers now. Yeah, so that's how I see tank monitors working in. It's whatever needs your company needs, but embrace it and use them.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when it comes to technology, it's almost like there's a giant and growing feature set, whether it's with the tank monitors or solutions like you have, a continually growing feature set. So when somebody is, trying to figure out what would be a good fit for them, how do they go about itemizing all the features that they can think of, whether it's a tank monitor or a solution like what you're doing? How do they itemize all the different features to make sure they're going to get the features they want so they can make sure that they
Well,
get the right thing?
well, generally, when I start talking with the customer, the first thing that I ask them is, what are you trying to get out of the software? And that's the first thing I do. And I make sure they get to see what fits their needs. Okay. Then I show them stuff that can enhance their needs. Simple things like when you enter an order with a one button click, you can send that order as a text message to a driver. So even if they've not embraced tablets yet in their trucks, they can still embrace that technology. And that way they don't have to pick up phones and call drivers, and drivers don't have to answer while they're driving down the road, which we know they're not supposed to, but they do. Um, so I point out little things like that, and then they start getting intrigued with, well, what else can it do? And that's when we start going down routing, and we go down, our inventory controls, our liquid controls, the tank monitors, degree days, and we go into other stuff that they didn't really realize it could do. And so that's generally the steps I take.
Okay, great. So it's really a nice, gentle path to take people through so that you're explaining things from the direction of what they're most interested in. There literally are long laundry lists of all the different features that are in each different technology tool, because you have an entire teams like Warren's entire team and all the other companies out there have teams that are continually building new features into their solutions. A lot of times either they dreamed it up, or it comes from their past experience, or comes from their customers' past experience and or present experience. So the exciting thing for our industry is that companies like Warren's are actually receiving input from their customers saying, this is what we want. That means people like all of us, propane marketing companies, people that are delivering propane. There's a lot of other people out there that are dreaming up the things you might not have even thought of yet and asking for it to be built. Or there's dreaming up things that you have thought of but you forgot about and you wish you had remembered and asked, or they're dreaming up solutions for things that we are experiencing now or will be experiencing presently or in the future. And those features are being built. They're being built without us even knowing in the background. And those features are literally companies like Warren's and the technology companies throughout our industry, whether it's the tank monitors, whether it's full solutions like what Warren has, or the many other plethora of technologies. Man, there's companies out there busting their butt to make these things happen and to fix these problems or to make you more efficient and more profitable. That's exciting. So in essence, Warren, is it okay if when you say you're welcome, you welcome phone calls, right? So
Yes.
do you and your company, do you welcome phone calls from people just saying, hey, in this area of tank management, Warren, what can I do? What can I do to improve my tank management? Or how can I use geofencing to improve my business? What do you see other companies doing out there, Warren? Can companies call you and ask you for ideas like that so they can then leverage the technology you guys have built for that?
Propane marketers will call me. My competitors won't call me and ask me.
No,
uh,
definitely not.
but yeah, geofencing is a big thing. And not all my competitors use that. And it's an option. But quite simply, when we go to your house, Bill, to make a delivery, we capture the geocode, the latitude, longitude of where that delivery took place. And the next time back there, if the driver's not within 100 yards, it won't let him make the delivery. It won't open the solenoid, and it tells them that you're at the wrong location. And that happens. People make deliveries to the wrong tanks, and this can stop that.
Tell me an example of a story you heard from one of your customers about how they reduced their costs, improved their efficiencies in some one way or another, and how technology helped them.
I had one company that had drivers work remotely, and the drivers that worked remotely never sent anything in. They were just required to come to the home office once a month. So literally the home office would wait 1 month in some cases before they even manually entered the invoices or entered the deposits if they got paid by a check or anything else. And so in this case, by doing everything real time, they've actually not, the goal wasn't to eliminate any personnel in the office. The goal was to make the personnel in the office more efficient so they could actually do other things that they needed them to do. And we accomplished that goal for that customer. And their deposits now are made on a daily basis. The invoicing is done on a daily, real time, immediately. So that's just an example of how we helped one customer.
So, for everyone listening here, if you are interested in technology, Warren would be a great guy to reach out to. Just give him a ring, see if maybe he has a tool you might be interested in, a technology tool that might help you increase profits, reduce costs, or be like some of his customers that live in other states but are the business is over there somewhere else. And how do you ask him? How do you do that? How do you do that? I want to do that. I want to move to Florida. I want to move to Arizona. I want to kind of quasi-retire. I want to run the business remotely. How do I do that? So feel free to give Warren a shout if you have questions about technology. That's what his whole company's about, is helping you make more money and helping you be more efficient. Warren, thanks a lot for sharing some. Now, I know we didn't cover all the questions that could be out there, but that's why in the virtual Propane Expo, you can click right in and let's see if I can share my screen. I'll just walk you through. So in the virtual Propane Expo, hey, go right over to the exhibitors. Click on all exhibitors. When you do, you can type in right here. I'm going to delete this. When you go to all exhibitors, type in the name of the company you're looking for, PMS. There it is, Propane Management Systems. Click, it'll take you right to their booth. It'll take you right to their expo booth. You can click right here to learn more. It'll take you right to the website of Warren's company, so you can reach out to him. There's also a video right here. You can learn a little bit more about what's going on, and you can learn a little more about what they do before you call them. Maybe you can answer all your questions that way. Regardless, the great resource for you is to come right in here and reach out and touch base with Warren and his company. Warren, thanks a lot for being here and
Thank you for having
sharing
me.
some insights. Yeah, for those of us in the industry, There are technology, there are experts in both the propane side and the technology that can bridge the gap for you and help you move from where you're at now to a more efficient and prosperous and profitable future. So guys like Warren, man, call him up. Doesn't hurt. It's a free phone call. Hey, Warren, thanks again. Thanks everybody for being here. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're going to record this, edit it, put it onto the Expo. You can then check it out on our YouTube channel and also on the Expo. Hey, come back in about 10 minutes for the next presenter. And we look forward to seeing you again here on the Expo. The Expo is going to continue all day today with other presenters. And hopefully we'll have Warren back sometime in the future, maybe in 2021, Warren, we'll bring you back out here. You can give us new insights on how the industry can be more successful and profitable.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Warren. Thanks everybody for being here, and we'll see you in about 10, 15 minutes. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.